Welcome back, everyone. Before you do anything else, say this out loud right now, wherever you are. I am ready to sound more natural. Good. That single sentence is your warm-up. And in the next few minutes, you are going to walk away with real, usable, advanced English vocabulary. Words that native speakers actually reach for in real situations. Not textbook filler you'll forget by tomorrow. My name is Emma, and this is Natural Word English. Today's promise is simple and specific. By the end of this video, you will have more than 60 pieces of advanced English vocabulary in your memory, each one tied to a real moment in your day. Waking up tired, feeling overwhelmed at work, comforting a friend, getting lost in a new city. So that the word isn't just sitting in a list, it's sitting inside a memory. That's the difference between vocabulary you recognize and vocabulary you actually use. Let me tell you why this method works, and I promise to keep this short because I know you didn't come here for a lecture. When you learn a word by itself, just the word and its translation, your brain files it away in a folder labeled vocabulary, and that folder is very easy to forget. But when you learn a word attached to a scene, a feeling, a conversation between two people, your brain files it somewhere completely different. The same place where it stores your own memories. That's why you still remember song lyrics from 10 years ago, but forget a vocabulary list from last week. So today, every single word comes wrapped inside a situation. You'll hear it, you'll see how it's used, you'll practice saying it out loud, and more than once, I'm going to stop and let you speak first, before I give you the answer. That's not me being lazy. That's the part of the lesson that actually builds your fluency, because guessing and speaking is how your brain turns knowledge into a reflex. One more thing before we start. Throughout this lesson, I'm going to point out small things about how these words actually sound in fast, connected speech. Because knowing a word on paper and recognizing it in someone's fast, natural sentence are two very different skills. So keep your ears open, not just for the meaning, but for the music of the sentence. All right, let's wake up your vocabulary. Picture this. It's 6:45 in the morning. Your alarm has gone off twice already. Your eyes are barely open. Your thoughts are foggy. And your body feels like it's moving through water. There's a word for exactly that feeling. And it's more precise than just saying tired. The word is groggy. If you are groggy, you are in that half-asleep state right after waking up, or sometimes after taking medication, where your mind hasn't fully caught up with your body yet. Instead of saying, "I'm so tired when I wake up," a native speaker would say, "Inde." I'm always groggy for the first 10 minutes after my alarm goes off. Say that with me. I'm always groggy for the first 10 minutes after my alarm goes off. Notice something about the connected sound here. For the often collapses into something closer to for the in fast speech. So the sentence flows as Groggy fur the first 10 minutes. Try the slow version first. I'm always groggy for the first 10 minutes. Now, a little faster. I'm always groggy for the first 10 minutes. That small shift is completely normal, and the more your ears expect it, the less it will confuse you later. Now, here's a mini scene. Imagine two roommates in a small kitchen. Morning light coming through the window. The smell of coffee starting to fill the room. One of them shuffles in, hair messy, eyes half closed. The other one is already dressed, holding a mug, watching with a small smile. Listen to this exchange. You look like you just fought your alarm clock and lost tomp. I did. I'm way too groggy for this conversation right now. Coffee's ready. That should help. Thank you. I need it more than usual today. Notice how naturally groggy fits right into a casual complaint. That's exactly the kind of moment where this word belongs, not in a formal essay, but in a kitchen at 7 in the morning. Let's move to the opposite feeling. Once that coffee kicks in, or once you finally get outside for a walk, there's a completely different sensation. A burst of energy that wakes up your whole body and mind. The word for that is invigorating. Something invigorating makes you feel fresh, alive, and full of energy, almost like a small jolt of power running through you. Instead of saying, "The walk made me feel good," you could say, "That walk in the cold morning air was incredibly invigorating." Say it with me. That walk was incredibly invigorating. Here's a useful pattern. English speakers love pairing. Invigorating with sensory experiences. An invigorating swim. An invigorating shower. An invigorating hike. Try building your own sentence about something invigorating in your life. Pause for a second and say it out loud now, using your own experience. Whatever you said, nice work. You just used a genuinely advanced word in a real personal sentence, and that's exactly the skill we're building today. Not every morning goes that way, though. Some mornings, no matter how much coffee you drink, your body just refuses to cooperate. Everything feels heavy, slow, and low on energy. That's the word sluggish. If your body or your mind is sluggish, it's moving slower than usual, lacking its normal energy or sharpness. You could say, "I've felt sluggish all week. I think I need more sleep." Say that with me. I've felt sluggish all week. Notice the ending sound here. Sluggish all often blends together, sounding closer to sluggish shall, with the sh sounds melting into one another. Slow version. I've felt sluggish all week. Faster. I've felt sluggish all week. Almost one continuous sound between sluggish and all. Here's a short role play moment, and I want you to actually participate this time. Imagine you're talking to a friend on the phone, and they ask how your week has been. I'll play your friend, and I want you to answer using the word sluggish, describing your own week, even if it's not true right now. Just practice the pattern. Ready? Here's my line. "Hey, how has your week been going?" Now it's your turn. Pause the video for a moment if you need to, and answer using sluggish. Go ahead. Good. Whatever you said, if it included a version of "I've been feeling a bit sluggish," you nailed it. That's exactly the kind of instant, practical response native speakers actually give in daily conversation. Now, if sluggish is the problem, what's the solution? The word is revitalize. To bring new energy, new life, or new strength back into something or someone. You can revitalize your body with rest, revitalize a tired plant with water, or even revitalize a boring room with new paint. A common sentence would be, "A short walk outside always revitalizes me when I'm stuck at my desk." Say it with me. A short walk always revitalizes me. This word is also fantastic for talking about more than just people. Cities get revitalized. Old neighborhoods get revitalized. Even old friendships can be revitalized after years apart. Let's slow down and give a full picture of what your morning might actually look like, using several of today's words together. Imagine waking up, groggy, dragging yourself to the kitchen, feeling sluggish through breakfast, and then stepping outside for 10 minutes, and that invigorating blast of cold morning air completely revitalizes you before your first meeting. Before your first meeting. That's the kind of layered, real description that makes your English sound noticeably more advanced, because you're not just listing separate facts, you're connecting ideas the way a fluent speaker naturally does. The next word describes a very specific kind of person, someone who pays extremely close attention to every small detail, sometimes almost too much. The word is meticulous. A meticulous person double-checks everything, notices tiny mistakes others would miss, and takes their time to get things exactly right. You might say, "My manager is meticulous about how we format our reports. Nothing gets past her." Say it with me. My manager is meticulous about everything. Here's the upgrade this word gives you. Instead of the basic word careful, meticulous shows a much higher, more intense level of care and precision. It's the word native speakers use when careful simply isn't strong enough. It's opposite behavior. Putting things off instead of doing them has its own powerful word too. Procrastinate. To procrastinate means to delay doing something you know you should be doing, usually because it feels difficult, boring, or uncomfortable. A very natural sentence. I always procrastinate on emails I don't want to write. Say it with me. I always procrastinate on emails I don't want to write. Here's a small dialogue between two coworkers near the end of the day. Did you finish that report yet? Not yet, honestly. I keep procrastinating on the conclusion section. Same here. I'll do mine tomorrow morning, I promise. That's exactly what you said yesterday. Small laugh. That kind of gentle teasing is very natural in English workplaces, and procrastinate shows up constantly in exactly this tone. Half joke, half honest confession. Some tasks, though, aren't hard. They're just boring, repeating over and over with no variation. That feeling has a word too. Monotonous. Something monotonous is dull and repetitive, lacking any change or variety, to the point where it becomes tiring simply because of the repetition. Data entry can feel incredibly monotonous after the first hour. Say it with me. That job sounds so monotonous. This word works beautifully for describing routines, sounds, even voices. A monotonous voice, a monotonous rhythm, a monotonous commute. And to close this first block, here's a word for the opposite state. Full of energy, motivated, and ready to take on the day. The word is energized. If you feel energized, you're not just awake. You feel powerfully ready, ambitious, and alert. After that presentation went well, I felt completely energized for the rest of the day. Say it with me. I felt completely energized. Try building one full sentence right now, out loud, connecting how you personally go from groggy in the morning to energized later in the day. Take a moment and say it. Nice work. That's 8 solid, real-life vocabulary words already sitting in your memory, each one tied to an actual moment instead of a random list. You're building real fluency here, not just recognition. Keep that same energy for the next block, because we're about to move from your body's energy to something even more personal. Your emotions. Picture this next scene clearly before we begin. It's the end of a long, chaotic week. Your inbox has 40 unread messages. Your phone hasn't stopped buzzing, and there's a pile of laundry you've been ignoring for 4 days. You sit down on the couch and just breathe out slowly. That specific feeling. Too much happening at once, more than you can mentally handle, has an exact word. Overwhelmed. If you're overwhelmed, you feel buried under too many tasks, emotions, or responsibilities all at the same time, to the point where it's hard to think clearly. Honestly, I've been feeling really overwhelmed with work this month. Say it with me. I've been feeling really overwhelmed. Notice the natural stress pattern here. Native speakers usually push extra weight onto really and overwhelmed together. I've been feeling really overwhelmed. That rise and fall in your voice is part of what makes the sentence sound emotionally honest instead of flat. Now, let's practice a role switch, because this is a word you'll want to use in real conversations, not just recognize. I'm going to read the line of a concerned friend, and then I want you to respond as the person who's overwhelmed, using the word naturally. Here's my line. You seem really stressed lately. Is everything okay? Now, pause and answer as if you're genuinely overwhelmed with something in your life right now. Go ahead. Say your response out loud. Whatever you said, if you used a phrase close to, "I've just been feeling overwhelmed lately," that's a completely natural, native-level response. Simple, honest, and exactly how real people talk. On the opposite end of the emotional scale, imagine getting news you've been hoping for. A job offer, an acceptance letter, a friend saying yes to something important. That burst of pure, Bright happiness is elated. To feel elated is to feel extremely happy and excited, more intense than just happy. It's the emotional equivalent of jumping instead of smiling. She was absolutely elated when she found out she got the scholarship. Say it with me. She was absolutely elated. Here's the upgrade path. Instead of saying very, happy, which sounds a little flat and overused, elated gives your English an emotional peak. It shows the listener exactly how strong that happiness really was. Before big moments, interviews, first dates, difficult conversations, there's often a nervous, uneasy feeling about what might go wrong. That's apprehensive. If you're apprehensive, you're worried or nervous about something that hasn't happened yet, usually because the outcome is uncertain. I'm a little apprehensive about my presentation tomorrow. Say it with me. I'm a little apprehensive about tomorrow. Here's a short scene to place this word inside. Imagine sitting in a waiting room before a job interview. The clock on the wall ticking loudly. Your hands slightly cold. Your mind running through possible questions again and again. A stranger sitting next to you says quietly, "First interview of the day?" You reply, "Is it that obvious?" "Yeah, I'm pretty apprehensive, honestly." They smile and say, "You'll be fine. Everyone looks exactly like you do right now." That small, human moment is exactly where apprehensive naturally lives. Not in a textbook definition, but in a quiet waiting room before something uncertain. Sometimes, though, that nervous energy isn't about the future. It's about something unfair that already happened, and it lingers as quiet anger. That's resentful. If you feel resentful, you feel bitter or angry about something you consider unfair, and often that feeling doesn't go away quickly. It sits with you. He still feels resentful about not getting that promotion last year. Say it with me. He still feels resentful about it. This is a slightly heavier word emotionally, so it's used carefully, usually about long-term unfairness, not small daily annoyances. After a stressful situation finally ends, the exam is over. The flight lands safely. The difficult phone call is done. There's a wave of calm that washes over you. That's relieved. To feel relieved is to feel a release of worry or tension, usually because something stressful has ended or resolved. I was so relieved when the doctor said the results were normal. Say it with me. I was so relieved. Here's a quick comparison for your ear. Notice how relieved and elated are cousins but not twins. Elated is pure joy about something good happening, while relieved is the release of tension about something bad not happening. Feel the difference. I was elated when I got the job versus I was relieved when the interview was finally over. Certain smells, songs, or places can pull you backward in time, wrapping you in a warm, slightly sad memory of the past. That specific, bittersweet feeling is nostalgic. To feel nostalgic is to feel a sentimental longing for the past often triggered by something small. A song, a smell, an old photo. This song always makes me feel nostalgic about my childhood summers. Say it with me. This song makes me feel nostalgic. Here's a mini dialogue between two old friends. Looking through photos. Oh my gosh, look at this one. We were so young. I know, right? I get so nostalgic every time I see these. Same. It makes me miss those simple days a little. Me too. We should do something like that again soon. Notice how naturally the conversation flows from the word into a shared emotional moment. That's exactly how nostalgic tends to appear in real speech, tied to a specific trigger. Small annoyances build up sometimes. Traffic, noise, a long line at the store, until your patience runs thin and you snap more easily than usual. That's irritable. If you're irritable, you're easily annoyed or bothered by small things more than usual. I get really irritable when I haven't eaten in a while. Say it with me. I get irritable when I'm hungry. This word pairs beautifully with causes. Irritable from lack of sleep. Irritable because of noise. Irritable after a long day. Try finishing this sentence yourself, out loud. I tend to get irritable when. Go ahead and complete it with your own real reason. Whatever you said, that's a genuinely natural, native-sounding sentence, built entirely by you. And to close this emotional block, here's a calm, steady feeling. Not the excitement of elated, just a quiet, comfortable satisfaction with how things are. That's content. To feel content is to feel calmly satisfied and at peace without necessarily feeling extreme excitement. It's a quiet kind of happiness. I don't need anything more right now. I'm genuinely content with my life. Say it with me. I'm genuinely content right now. Here's the emotional map we just built together. Apprehensive before something happens. Overwhelmed. When too much happens at once. Resentful about old unfairness. Irritable from small annoyances. Relieved when stress finally ends. Elated at pure good news. Nostalgic looking backward. And content simply existing peacefully in the present moment. And that's 16 advanced words now living in your memory, each one connected to a feeling you've actually had. Nice work! That's real progress, and we're only getting started. Take one slow breath with me right now. In and out. Just a short reset before we head into the next part of today's lesson, where we're moving from your inner world of emotions into something just as real. The language of work, teamwork, and getting things done. Vocabulary you can use in your very next meeting. Let's step into a completely different scene now. Imagine a Monday morning meeting room. A whiteboard, half covered in notes from last week. Someone pouring coffee into a paper cup, a laptop open. Showing a project timeline that's a little behind schedule. This is where our next set of words live. The language of getting things done efficiently at work, or really in any organized project in life. The first word describes something almost every team wishes they could do better. making a process simpler, faster, and less complicated by removing unnecessary steps. The word is streamline. To streamline something means to make a process more efficient by cutting out anything slow, repetitive, or unnecessary. We streamlined our approval process, so now it only takes 2 days instead of 2 weeks. Say it with me. We streamlined the whole process. Notice the connected sound here. Streamlined R often blends into something closer to streamlined R, with the D and the following vowel almost touching. Slow. We streamlined our process. Faster. We streamlined our process. Once a process is streamlined, the next challenge is usually deciding who does what. That brings us to delegate. To give part of your work or responsibility to someone else, trusting them to handle it. A good manager knows how to delegate tasks instead of doing everything herself. Say it with me. She knows how to delegate well. Here's a short scene. A team leader looking at a long to-do list, clearly overwhelmed. Remember that word from earlier? Turns to a colleague and says, "I think I've been trying to do too much myself. I need to delegate some of this." The colleague replies, "Honestly, I've been waiting for you to ask. I can take the client emails off your plate." That connection between overwhelmed and delegate is exactly how real conversations naturally link vocabulary together. One problem, one practical solution with limited time. You also have to decide what matters most first. That's prioritize. To treat something as more important than other things and deal with it first. I always prioritize the tasks with the closest deadlines. Say it with me. I prioritize the urgent tasks first. Try this yourself. Pause for a moment and say one thing you're prioritizing in your life this week, using this word directly. Go ahead. Whatever you said, that's a strong, natural sentence. You're already using workplace-level English with confidence. None of this works alone, though most real projects require people working together smoothly. The word is collaborate. To work jointly with others toward a shared goal. Our 2 departments collaborated closely to launch the new product on time. Say it with me. We collaborated closely on this. Here's a longer dialogue, and I want you to really listen for the natural rhythm. No. Imagine 2 colleagues from different departments meeting for the first time about a joint project. So, I hear we'll be collaborating on the new campaign together. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I think our teams complement each other well. Agreed. What's your usual approach when you start a project like this? Honestly, I like to get everyone's ideas early, before we lock anything in. That works for me. Let's set up a time this week to map it out. Notice the length of that exchange. 5 full turns, going back and forth naturally. Exactly the kind of real professional conversation you'll actually have. Being able to work well with others also depends on how clearly you can explain your own ideas. That's articulate. When used as a verb, to express your thoughts or feelings clearly and effectively in words. She articulated her concerns about the budget very clearly in the meeting. Say it with me. She articulated her concerns clearly. Small but important note. This word can also be an adjective, describing a person who speaks clearly and fluently. He's a very articulate speaker. So listen, for context, to know which version you're hearing. Now, here's a role switch moment, and this one matters, so really try it. I'm going to play a manager reviewing your idea in a meeting, and I want you to respond as someone defending whether your plan is realistic and doable. The key word I want you to use is feasible, meaning possible to do, realistic and achievable given the time, money, or resources available. Here's my line playing the manager. This timeline looks pretty tight. Do you honestly think it's feasible? Now it's your turn. Pause and respond, defending your plan, using the word feasible naturally. Go ahead. Whatever you said, if it sounded something like, yes, I think it's feasible if we get extra support next week, that's exactly the kind of confident. That's the kind of confident, professional answer a fluent speaker would give under pressure. Some people and some tools are especially valuable because they can adapt to many different situations. Not just one. That's versatile, able to adapt or be used in many different ways or situations. She's incredibly versatile. She can handle design, writing, and client calls equally well. Say it with me. She's such a versatile employee. This word also works beautifully outside of work. A versatile ingredient in cooking. A versatile piece of clothing. A versatile actor who can play very different roles. And to close this block, there's a quality every strong team member needs. Being accountable. Taking responsibility for your own actions, decisions, and their results, especially when something goes wrong. Wrong. I made the mistake, and I'm fully accountable for fixing it. Say it with me. I'm fully accountable for that. Here's a short, honest workplace moment. The report had some errors that reached the client. I know. That was my section. I'm accountable for that, and I'll correct it today. I appreciate you owning it directly. Let's fix it together. Notice how accountable doesn't sound weak or embarrassing here. It actually sounds confident and mature, which is exactly the tone native speakers use it with. That's 8 more advanced words fully wrapped inside real workplace scenes. Streamline, delegate, prioritize, collaborate, articulate, feasible, versatile, and accountable. Combined with our first 16, you now have 24 solid pieces of vocabulary living in real memories instead of a flat list. That's genuinely strong progress for one video, so take a second and feel good about that. Before we move into our next block, which shifts from your professional life into something more personal, the language of real friendships and honest relationships. Picture 2 close friends sitting on a park bench. Late afternoon light. One of them clearly has something on her mind, but hasn't said it yet. The other one notices and gently asks what's wrong. This is where honest Human vocabulary lives. The words we use when we're being real with the people close to us. The first word describes speaking honestly. Syndithian, even when the truth is a little uncomfortable. That's candid, being open, honest, and direct, without hiding your true opinion or feelings. Can I be candid with you for a second? I don't think this plan is going to work. Say it with me. Let me be candid with you. Notice the stress pattern. Candid. Gets a firm, slightly heavier emphasis, almost like you're preparing the listener for something important. Something important. Let me be candid with you. That kind of honesty works best when it's paired with understanding how the other person feels. That's empathetic, being able to understand and share someone else's feelings, especially their pain or difficulty. She's always so empathetic when I'm going through something hard. Say it with me. She's incredibly empathetic. Here's a short scene. A friend crying quietly at a kitchen table. Another friend sitting close, not saying much, just listening carefully and nodding. Later, the first friend says, "Thank you for not trying to fix it. You just listened." The second replies, "Of course. I could tell you just needed someone empathetic tonight, not advice." That quiet, listening kind of support is exactly the emotional space where empathetic naturally belongs. After an argument or a period of distance, two people sometimes make an effort to fix things and become close again. That's reconcile, to become friendly again with someone after a disagreement, or to make two different things agree with each other. It took months, but they finally reconciled after that big fight. Say it with me. They finally reconciled last month. This word also has a second meaning worth knowing. Reconciling two different opinions, or reconciling your bank statement with your budget. But the emotional relationship meaning is the one you'll use most often in daily conversation. Sometimes, though, the moment right before or right after an important conversation feels strange and uncomfortable. Neither person quite sure what to say. That's awkward. Uncomfortable, embarrassing, or difficult. Often because a social situation doesn't feel natural. It was a little awkward seeing my ex at the party, but we were both polite. Say it with me. That was pretty awkward, honestly. Try this yourself. Pause and describe one genuinely awkward moment from your own life, out loud, using this word. Go ahead. Whatever you said, that's a great personal use of the word. Exactly how native speakers casually drop it into storytelling. When you trust someone enough to share something private or emotional, you're doing something specific. You confide in them. To confide in someone means to tell them a secret or something personal, trusting them not to share it further. I confided in my sister about the job offer before telling anyone else. Say it with me. I confided in my sister first. Here's a longer dialogue between two close friends, and notice the natural back and forth rhythm. Can I tell you something? But you have to keep it between us? Of course. What's going on? I've been thinking about leaving my job, but I haven't told anyone yet. Wow, okay. Thank you for confiding in me about this. I just needed to say it out loud to someone I trust. I'm glad you did. Let's talk through it properly. 5 full turns, real trust. Building sentence by sentence. That's exactly the depth of dialogue that makes vocabulary stick. A good friend isn't just someone who listens, though they're also someone who actively helps you feel stronger. That's supportive. Giving help, encouragement, or approval to someone, especially during a difficult time. My family has been incredibly supportive since I started my new business. Say it with me. They've been so supportive of me. Now here's a quick role switch. I'll play someone sharing difficult news, and I want you to respond as a genuinely supportive friend. Here's my line. I just found out I didn't get the promotion I was hoping for. Now, pause and respond as a supportive friend, using the word naturally if you can.
Go ahead.
Whatever kind, encouraging response you gave, that's exactly the emotional skill this word represents. Real support through real words. On the opposite side, there's a specific kind of person who criticizes others too quickly, without really understanding their situation. That's judgmental. Quick to criticize or form negative opinions about people, often unfairly. Try not to be so judgmental about how other people choose to live. Say it with me. Don't be so judgmental about it. This word is almost always used as a gentle warning or a light criticism. So, listen for that softer, cautionary tone whenever you hear it. And to close this block, here's the quality that makes all the others believable. Being genuine, being real, sincere, and honest, without pretending or faking anything. I really appreciated how genuine she was during the interview. No fake answers, just honesty. Say it with me. She was so genuine with me. Take a moment now and connect all 8 of these words in your mind. Being candid means speaking honestly. Being empathetic means understanding someone's pain. Confiding means trusting someone with a secret. And being genuine ties it all together. Because none of these words work without real sincerity behind them. That's 32 advanced words now. Each one tied to a real emotional scene instead of a random flashcard. You're doing seriously strong work here. Genuinely impressive progress for one lesson. Let's keep that momentum going as we shift into our next scene. The language of travel, curiosity, and stepping outside your comfort zone. Close your eyes for a second. Well, keep them open since you're listening. But really picture this. You've just landed in a city you've never visited before. The air smells different. The street signs are in a language you're still learning, and there's a small, nervous excitement in your chest. Not knowing exactly what's around the next corner. This is where our travel vocabulary lives. And it's some of the most vivid, useful language you'll ever learn, because travel forces you to describe things you've genuinely never seen before. Before any trip like that, though, There's usually a plan, a detailed schedule of where you'll go and when. That's your itinerary. A planned schedule or route for a journey, listing the places you'll visit and the order you'll visit them in. Our itinerary for Italy includes 3 days in Rome and 2 in Florence. Say it with me. Let me show you our itinerary. Here's a quick practical tip for your ear. In fast speech, our itinerary often blends into air itinerary. The two vowel sounds almost merging into one continuous glide. Some travelers, though, love throwing the itinerary away entirely and exploring somewhere far from typical tourist spots. That's off the beaten path. A phrase describing places that are unusual, less popular with tourists, and often more authentic or adventurous. We skipped the famous landmarks and found this incredible little village off the beaten path. Say it with me. We found this place off the beaten path. This phrase carries a certain pride in English. It usually signals that the traveler feels they discovered something special that most people miss. And when you do find that hidden place, a valley, a coastline, a mountain view, sometimes words genuinely fail you for a second because what you're seeing is so beautiful it takes your breath away. That's breathtaking, extremely beautiful, impressive, or amazing to the point of taking your breath away emotionally. The view from the top of the mountain was absolutely breathtaking. Say it with me. The view was absolutely breathtaking. Notice the natural stress here. English speakers almost always stretch this word slightly for emotional effect. The view was breathtaking, with real feeling behind the word, not a flat, neutral tone. New places aren't always comfortable, though. Sometimes you step off a plane or out of a subway station, and for a moment, you genuinely don't know which direction is which. That's disoriented, confused about your surroundings, direction, or sense of time and place. I felt completely disoriented when I first got off the overnight train. Say it with me. I felt totally disoriented at first. Here's a short scene. Someone stepping out of an airport into a busy, unfamiliar street. Looking left, then right, phone map spinning in their hand. A stranger notices and asks, "You look a little lost. Need directions?" The traveler laughs and says, "Is it that obvious?" "Yeah, I'm completely disoriented right now." The stranger smiles. Happens to everyone here at first. Where are you trying to get to? Once you settle in a little, though, the real goal of travel often becomes something deeper. Not just seeing a place, but truly living inside its culture for a while. That's immerse, to become deeply involved or absorbed in something, especially a culture, language, or experience. I wanted to immerse myself completely in the local culture, not just take photos from a distance. Say it with me. I wanted to immerse myself in it. Try this yourself right now. Pause and say one place or experience you genuinely love to immerse yourself in someday. Go ahead. Whatever you said, that's a beautifully personal, native level sentence. You're already dreaming in English. Some of the best travel moments, though, aren't planned at all. They happen because you decided in the moment to do something unplanned and a little bold. That's spontaneous. Done suddenly without much planning, following impulse rather than a fixed plan. We spontaneously decided to jump on a train to the coast, and it turned into our favorite day of the trip. Say it with me. It was such a spontaneous decision. This word pairs beautifully with travel stories because it captures exactly that feeling of adventure, winning over careful planning. And often, the places that stay with us longest aren't the biggest or most famous. They're the ones that were simply, quietly, visually beautiful in an artistic way. That's picturesque, visually charming or attractive, enough to look like a painting. We stumbled onto this picturesque little fishing village by accident. Say it with me. It was such a picturesque village. This word is almost always used for smaller, quieter places. Villages, countryside roads, quiet coastlines, rather than large, busy cities. And finally, to close this block, there's one word that captures the whole feeling behind everything we just described. A deep, persistent desire to travel and explore the world. That's wanderlust. A strong longing or desire to travel and see new places. Ever since that trip to Southeast Asia, I've had serious wanderlust. Say it with me. I have serious wanderlust lately. Take a breath and notice how these 8 words work together to tell a full travel story. You follow your itinerary or throw it away to go off the beaten path. You find something breathtaking. You might feel disoriented before you immerse yourself completely, sometimes acting spontaneously to reach something picturesque, all driven by pure wanderlust. That's 40 advanced words now. 40, each one connected to a real, vivid scene instead of a flat definition. Genuinely excellent work. Let's keep this energy going as we move into our next block. The language we use to describe people's personalities. Think about the different people in your own life for a moment. A friend who never backs down in an argument, a coworker, who stays calm no matter what happens, someone who's impossible to convince once they've made up their mind. Personality vocabulary is some of the most useful English you'll ever learn because you use it constantly, describing the people around you almost every single day. Let's start with someone who speaks up clearly. Clearly and confidently for what they want, without being aggressive about it. That's assertive, confident, and direct in expressing your opinions or needs, while still respecting others. I've been working on being more assertive in meetings instead of staying quiet. Say it with me. I'm trying to be more assertive. This is an important distinction to hear clearly. Assertive is not the same as aggressive. Assertive means confident and clear. Aggressive means forceful and often disrespectful. Native speakers care a lot about that difference, so use it carefully. On the other end of confidence, there's a quality that's just as respected. Someone who doesn't brag about their own success, even when they clearly deserve to. That's humble. Not proud or boastful, modest about your own abilities or achievements. Despite winning the award, she stayed incredibly humble about the whole thing. Say it with me. She's always so humble about it. Here's a short dialogue between two coworkers. I heard you got Employee of the Year. Congratulations! Oh, thank you. But honestly, the whole team deserves it just as much. See, that's exactly why you got it. You're always so humble. That gentle compliment and deflection pattern is exactly how humble tends to appear naturally in real conversation. Some people, though, are driven by a strong, clear desire to achieve something big. Success, recognition, a specific goal they're determined to reach. That's ambitious. Having a strong desire to achieve success, power, or a specific important goal. He's incredibly ambitious. He wants to open his own company by 30. Say it with me. She's really ambitious about her career. Try this yourself. Pause and describe one ambitious goal in your own life out loud using the word directly. Go ahead. Whatever you said, that's a strong, confident sentence. You sound genuinely motivated, even in a second language. Other people carry a completely different energy. Relaxed, flexible, rarely stressed, or bothered by small problems. That's easygoing. Relaxed, calm, and not easily upset or stressed by things. My roommate is so easygoing. Nothing ever seems to bother him. Say it with me. He's incredibly easygoing about everything. This word is one of the highest compliments in English for describing someone pleasant to be around, especially in stressful situations. Sikajun. Then there's the personality trait that can be both a strength and a challenge. Someone who refuses to change their mind, no matter what anyone says. That's stubborn. Refusing to change your opinion or behavior, even when it might be reasonable to do so. My grandfather is so stubborn. He still refuses to use a smartphone. Say it with me. He's incredibly stubborn about that. Here's a role switch moment. I'll play someone trying to convince you of something, and I want you to respond as a stubborn person who won't be easily persuaded. Here's my line. Come on, just try the new restaurant with us tonight. You'll love it. Now pause and respond stubbornly, refusing politely but firmly. Go ahead. Whatever you said, if it had a firm no, I'm happy with my usual place energy. That's exactly the tones stubborn conversations naturally carry. Some people, meanwhile, notice things other people completely miss. Small, emotional signals, unspoken tension, subtle details in a situation. That's perceptive. Quick to notice or understand things, especially subtle, emotional, or situational details. She's incredibly perceptive. She knew something was wrong before I even said anything. Say it with me. She's always been so perceptive. This is a genuinely advanced, high-value word. It shows real emotional intelligence, and using it correctly instantly makes your English sound more sophisticated. Others, though, prefer to stay quieter, keeping their thoughts and feelings mostly to themselves rather than sharing openly. That's reserved. Quiet, calm, and slow to reveal your thoughts, feelings, or opinions to others. He seems reserved at first, but once you get to know him, he's actually very funny. Say it with me. He's pretty reserved at first. This word carries no negative judgment at all. It simply describes someone who opens up slowly, not someone who's cold or unfriendly. And to close this block, there's the personality type that seems to light up every room they walk into. Naturally attractive energy, confidence, and warmth that draws people toward them. That's charismatic. Having a compelling charm or attractiveness that inspires devotion or attention from others. The new manager is incredibly charismatic. Everyone was won over within 5 minutes. Say it with me. She's such a charismatic speaker. Take a second to notice the full spectrum of personalities we just described. Assertive but humble, ambitious yet easygoing, stubborn but perceptive, reserved yet charismatic. Real people are almost always a mix of several of these traits at once. And now you have the vocabulary to describe that complexity precisely. That's 48 advanced words. Genuinely remarkable progress. Take a proud breath before we continue. Let's pause here for just a moment. Close your eyes if you're somewhere safe to do that, or simply soften your gaze. Take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. You've already built an enormous amount of real vocabulary today. There's no rush for the next few seconds. Just let everything settle quietly in your mind before we pick the pace back up. All right, let's continue. Because there are 2 very important listening skills, I want to teach you directly techniques that will help you understand native speakers even when they talk fast. The first is called shadowing. Real shadowing isn't just repeating after me with a pause in between. It's listening and speaking at almost the exact same moment, like an echo following a voice half a second behind it. Here's how to practice it properly. Instead of waiting for me to finish a sentence before you repeat it, try speaking along with me, just slightly behind. Copying not only the words, but the rhythm, the rise and fall, the speed. Let's try it together right now with a simple sentence. I'll say it once slowly. Then I want you to shadow me as I say it again. Ready? I need to finish this before the deadline. Now, shadow me as I repeat it. I need to finish this before the deadline. That immediate, overlapping repetition trains your mouth and your ear together. At the same time, which is exactly why shadowing works faster than simple repeat. After me practice. The second listening skill is just as important. Catching the gist, meaning the main idea. When someone speaks quickly and you can't understand every single word, here's the truth that most learners never hear clearly enough. Even native speakers don't understand every word of fast speech perfectly. See again, what they're doing instead is catching key words and filling in the rest with context. So instead of panicking when you miss a word, practice using small natural responses that keep the conversation flowing while your brain catches up. Phrases like, I see, that makes sense, right, or, oh, interesting. Let's practice this with a short, fast monologue. Just listen for the general idea, not every word. So basically, the client wanted the whole thing redesigned by Friday, which honestly threw off our entire schedule, but somehow the team pulled it together anyway. Did you catch the whole thing? Probably not every word, and that's completely fine. What matters is the main idea. A client made a last-minute demand. It disrupted the schedule, but the team managed it. That's just listening, and it's a skill, not a talent. The more you practice ignoring the small missed words and focusing on the overall meaning, the more natural, real conversations will start to feel. Now, here's an exercise I want you to genuinely try, not just listen to. A solo speaking practice using your senses and the vocabulary you've already learned today. Wherever you are right now, take a moment and describe your surroundings out loud, in English, using at least 2 or 3 words from today's lesson. For example, I might say, I'm sitting at my desk. The room feels a little monotonous with this gray light outside, but I actually feel pretty content right now, just focused on this lesson. Now it's your turn. Pause the video, look around you, and describe your environment and your current feeling out loud using your own version of today's vocabulary. You see? Go ahead, take your time. Whatever you said, that exercise is incredibly powerful because you just turned passive vocabulary into active, spontaneous speech. And that's the exact skill that separates someone who recognizes English from someone who actually speaks it. Let's move into our next block, because the world around us keeps changing fast, and there's a whole set of vocabulary built specifically for talking about modern life and technology. Picture this. You're on a video call. Everything's going smoothly, and then suddenly the screen freezes, your partner's voice turns robotic, and the whole call disconnects. That small, annoying technical failure has a very specific word: glitch. A small, temporary problem or malfunction, especially in a machine, computer program, or system. Sorry, there was a glitch during the call. Can you hear me now? Say it with me. Sorry, there was a small glitch. This word is used constantly in modern conversation, from video calls to apps to video games, when technology works perfectly. Or midiro, though, no delays, no confusion, everything flowing smoothly from one step to the next. There's a word for that too. Seamless. Something seamless works so smoothly that you don't notice any breaks, gaps, or problems at all. The transition to the new system was completely seamless. Nobody even noticed the change. Say it with me. The whole process was seamless. This is one of the highest compliments you can give a service, an app, or a process in modern English. Not everything stays impressive forever, though. Some technology, ideas, or methods eventually stop being useful because something newer has replaced them. That's outdated, no longer useful, current, or fashionable because something newer has replaced it. This software feels really outdated compared to what we use now. Say it with me. This system feels pretty outdated. Try this yourself. Pause and name one outdated piece of technology from your own past out loud using this word. Go ahead. Whatever you named, that's a natural, confident sentence. Well done. The opposite of outdated is something genuinely new and creative, introducing fresh ideas or methods that haven't existed before. That's innovative, introducing new ideas, methods, or products, original and creative. Their approach to customer service is incredibly innovative. Nobody else in the industry does it that way. Say it with me. It's such an innovative approach. This word appears constantly in business, technology, and design conversations, always carrying a strongly positive, admiring tone. Some technology, though, becomes almost impossible to put down, designed specifically to keep pulling your attention back again and again. That's addictive, extremely compelling, difficult to stop using or doing, often used about habits, apps, or games. This new game is so addictive, I lost track of time completely. Say it with me. This app is honestly addictive. Here's a short, honest dialogue between two friends. How much time did you spend on that app last night? Honestly, way too long. It's so addictive, I can't put it down. I know exactly what you mean. Mine's the same way. That kind of shared, slightly guilty confession is exactly the natural tone this word carries. Sometimes, though, the healthiest choice is stepping away entirely, turning off notifications, putting the phone down, disconnecting completely for a while. That's disconnect. To stop being connected, especially from technology, work, or a stressful situation, in order to rest mentally. I try to disconnect completely from my phone every Sunday. Say it with me. I need to disconnect this weekend. This word carries a genuinely modern meaning specifically because of technology. Describing a mental and emotional break, not just an unplugged cable. When something old finally gets replaced with something better, faster, or more advanced, there's a clear word for that transition too. Upgrade. To improve something by replacing it with a newer or better version. I finally upgraded my laptop after using the old one for 6 years. Say it with me. I finally upgraded my laptop. This word works for objects, systems, even relationships and lifestyles in a more figurative sense. I upgraded my morning routine is a completely natural, modern sentence. And to close this block, here's a word for someone who feels genuinely comfortable and confident using modern technology, adapting quickly to new tools and systems. That's tech savvy. Skilled, knowledgeable, and comfortable with technology and digital tools. My niece is incredibly tech savvy. She figured out that new software in 10 minutes. Say it with me. She's really tech savvy. That's 56 advanced words now, deeply connected to real modern situations. Glitches during calls, seamless transitions, outdated tools, finally getting upgraded, disconnecting on purpose, staying tech-savvy in a fast-changing world. Genuinely excellent work. And we have just one more block of brand new vocabulary before our big final review. Let's finish with the vocabulary of decision-making, because life is constantly asking us to choose between options, weigh consequences, and solve problems under pressure. Picture this: two paths in front of you, both with real advantages and real downsides. And you genuinely don't know which one is right. That specific, difficult situation is a dilemma. A difficult situation requiring a choice between two or more options, especially when both options have downsides. I'm facing a real dilemma. Take the higher salary or the job I actually enjoy more. Say it with me. It's a genuine dilemma for me. Notice how naturally this word pairs with face and real. You face a dilemma. You're in a real dilemma, almost never just a small dilemma. When you're stuck in exactly that kind of situation, the natural next step is to carefully compare your options before deciding. That's the phrase weigh up. To carefully consider and compare different options before making a decision. I need to weigh up the pros and cons before I decide. Say it with me. Let me weigh up my options. This phrase visually captures exactly what it means. Imagine literally putting two choices on a scale, checking which side feels heavier, more important, more reasonable. After weighing everything carefully, Citson if Pierre, you eventually need to decide whether an option is actually realistic enough to move forward with. That's viable, capable of working successfully, realistic and practical enough to be done. Is it actually viable to launch the product by next month? Say it with me. I don't think that's viable. This word is closely related to feasible from earlier, but viable often carries a slightly stronger sense of long-term survival or success, not just short-term possibility. Sometimes, though, neither option is perfect, and the smartest solution is meeting somewhere in the middle. That's compromise. An agreement reached by each side, giving up part of their original demand. We couldn't agree on the venue, so we compromised and chose somewhere in between. Say it with me. We finally compromised on it. Here's a role switch moment to finish our practice. So I'll play someone who strongly disagrees with your plan, and I want you to respond by proposing a compromise. Here's my line. I really don't think we should spend that much on the wedding. Now pause and respond, proposing a compromise using the word directly. Go ahead. Whatever balanced solution you suggested, that's exactly the kind of mature, practical English fluent speakers use during real disagreements. Every decision, though, comes with some kind of disadvantage, a negative side effect you have to accept along with the benefits. That's drawback. A disadvantage or negative aspect of a situation, plan, or choice. The apartment is perfect, but the main drawback is the long commute. Say it with me. The only real drawback is the price. This word is almost always used honestly and fairly. Acknowledging something isn't perfect, even while still recommending it overall. And sometimes, after a long period of struggle, there's a sudden, important moment of progress, understanding, or success that changes everything. That's breakthrough. A sudden, significant advance or discovery, especially after a period of difficulty. After months of testing, they finally had a breakthrough with the new treatment. Say it with me. We finally had a breakthrough today. This is a genuinely exciting, high-energy word. It almost always signals real celebration after real struggle. Right before making a big decision, it's completely natural to feel a little unsure, a little slow to commit, even when you know what you probably should do. That's hesitant. Slow to act or speak because you feel unsure, nervous, or uncertain. I was hesitant to accept at first, but I'm really glad I did. Say it with me. I was pretty hesitant at first. Try this yourself right now. Pause and describe one decision you were genuinely hesitant about in your own life out loud. Go ahead. Whatever you shared, that's a real, personal, native-level sentence. Genuinely well done. And to close our vocabulary today, there's one final word for someone who handles difficult situations. Well, finding smart, creative solutions, even with limited resources. That's resourceful. Able to find quick, clever ways to solve problems or overcome difficulties, especially with limited resources. She's incredibly resourceful. She fixed the whole situation with almost no budget at all. Say it with me. He's always so resourceful. That's 64 advanced words now. 64. Completely woven into real dilemmas. Honest compromises. Unexpected breakthroughs. And resourceful solutions. That is a genuinely massive amount of usable, real-life vocabulary, and I am seriously proud of the work you just put in. Now, let's finish strong with our fluency round. I'm going to move through all 64 words quickly, one right after another, no long pauses. No explanations. Just say each word out loud with me the instant you hear it, as fast as you can keep up. Ready? Groggy, invigorating, sluggish, revitalize, meticulous, procrastinate, monotonous, energized, overwhelmed, elated, apprehensive, resentful, relieved, nostalgic, irritable, content, streamline, delegate, prioritize, collaborate, articulate, feasible, versatile, accountable, candid, empathetic, reconcile, awkward, confide, supportive, judgmental, genuine, itinerary, off the beaten path, breathtaking, disoriented, immerse, spontaneous, picturesque, wanderlust, assertive, humble, ambitious, easygoing, stubborn, perceptive, reserved, charismatic, glitch, seamless, outdated, innovative, addictive, disconnect, upgrade, tech-savvy, dilemma, way up, viable, compromise, drawback, breakthrough, hesitant, resourceful. That's it. Every single one, from start to finish, and if you kept up even most of the way, that's real, active fluency practice, not passive listening. Here's your specific task before you close this video. Pick just one word from today, any word that genuinely connected with something in your own life, and write one full sentence with it in the comments below, describing your real day, your real feelings, or your real week. Not a random example, your own true sentence. That single act of writing forces your brain to actively produce the word instead of just recognizing it. And that's the real final step toward making it permanently yours. You showed up today and did serious, focused work. 64 advanced words, each one tied to a real memory instead of a flat list, real dialogues, real role switching, real listening techniques. That's exactly how fluency is actually built, one honest, connected word at a time. If this lesson helped you, subscribe to Natural Word English so you don't miss the next one. And I'll see you very soon for more advanced English vocabulary in real life context.